Hazards present: rotating shaft and ratchet, excessive noise, pinch points, compressed air, trips, slips and falls, flying debris. Personal protective equipment or devices required. Protective eyewear or face shield. CSA approved footwear. Protective hearing. Additional training requirements. SWP compressed air. Safe tool handling training.
So today we're going to be showing you the safe work practice for a pneumatic impact gun. The hazards present on this sort of tool would be a rotating hazard where it could cut you or pinch you. You have flying debris since it's impacting on the fastener. You could have things flying off. There's noise, hearing protection hazards. Safety, personal protective equipment is required. You're going to need some eye protection, so either safety glasses or a full face shield. Hearing protection, you can either have like earbud style or full earmuffs. And always want to wear steel-toed CSA footwear. Pre-use check, you can actually physically check the tool to make sure the air coupling's good, your trigger's not sticking or anything. There's a retaining ring on the front of the gun so that when you put the socket on, it stays on, it doesn't fall off. Maintenance-wise, there's oiling points in some guns. You always want to regularly oil them inside. That's going to keep the tool running properly and reduce, any chance of anything going wrong with it while you're working on it. Okay, so when you're coming to your work area, you want to make sure it's clean and with no hazard. So you don't want to be standing in a spill of coolant like this. And if you have loose debris or something, you obviously want to make sure the area is clean to work in.
Conduct an inspection of surroundings and machine parts to prevent injuries and observe surrounding work area for proper housekeeping. Remove all clutter. Supply adequate lighting. If necessary, place trouble lamp in a strategic position that lights the subject area.
So if you do find something wrong with the tool, obviously we don't want to use it. We want to get it locked out and repaired. So either get it tagged, do not use sign, and get it to the appropriate personnel so they can get it fixed up or replaced.
Inspect all tools for wear or damage. Lock out and tag damaged tools. Remove tool and report damages to shop foreman or management, and do not operate. If personal tools are damaged, tag and lock in their box. Visually inspect air hose and coupling for leaks, cracks, or wear.
And then the sockets themselves, you need an actual impact socket. You're going to check it, make sure there's no cracks or sharp burrs or anything like that on it. There's chrome sockets. These are not for use on an impact gun. These can actually explode if you put them on an impact gun, so you never want to use a chrome socket on an impact wrench.
Choose proper socket size and place on fastener. Use only impact sockets. Chrome sockets are not engineered for impact gun and will break. Secure the socket to the fastener prior to supplying air to the impact gun.
Your air line, when you go to connect it, you don't want to be wrapped around anything sharp or anything like that. Obviously nothing piled on top of it so that if you pull it, it could cause a break and a hazard in its own. So when you're transporting the gun, you always want to have a firm grip on it, especially on something, a bigger, heavier one. So good firm grip around the handle. Make sure the tool is not covered with grease or anything slippery like that. Okay, so when you're connecting the gun, if it's got a neutral or off position, you could put it in there. This particular gun does not have one, so you just want to make sure you're staying clear of the trigger when you connect it. When you connect your air line, you make sure it's nice and tight and it's going to stay on there. Give it a little wiggle. A big gun like this obviously requires both hands. Stay clear of the trigger while you're connecting and everything. If it has an off position, you can have it in the off position. This one does not, it's just got forward and reverse. So we're taking the fastener off, we want to have the gun in reverse.
Supply air source to the impact gun. Do not route air hoses near sharp objects and hot surfaces that may cause damage. Ensure that the tool is in the off position prior to energizing. Transport the gun with a firm grip in one hand, fingers wrapped around the handle. With the other hand, grip the air hose coupling so that your fingers do not protrude over the end to prevent pinched fingers between gun and coupling. Connect hose to gun. Never exceed the recommended pressure of the tool. If tool is rated lower, get regulator from parts.
So you want to put the gun onto the fastener, make sure there's no excessive play or anything like that. Again, select your forward or reverse. We're taking the nut off, so we're going to be in reverse this time. Don't grab the socket itself. Hold the gun with both hands. Make sure your feet are stable on the ground, that you're not going to be in an awkward position to fall over or anything like that. And then just pull the trigger. So once it's off, basically there's no damage to the socket or the fastener, so everything's good there.
Place switch to reverse when loosening nuts. Make certain the switch is locked properly in place. Place the socket squarely over the nut. Apply appropriate pressure against the nut and socket. Add adapters only when necessary and not for general use. Pull trigger to supply power to the impact gun. Do not hold impact sockets, universal joints, or extensions while impact tools are running. Serious hand and wrist injury can occur. Keep constant eye contact with the joints between the gun and fasteners to ensure they are snug. If they become loose, stop the gun and correct the problem. Release trigger to disengage power from the impact gun once nut is off bolt. Remove nut from socket. Ensure your fingers are away from the trigger. Point the socket towards ground and allow the nut to fall into your other hand. Place the nut into a container.
So if you're going to be working underneath the car and taking something off above you, a full face shield is preferred. That way any falling debris is not going to fall in behind your safety glasses. So basically like that. Now when you go to put it back on, always start it by hand. You're going to turn it on, make sure it's going on easy, and then you can put your gun back on it, flip it back to forward, make sure it's on there steady, hands clear of the socket. And then you're always going to finish the torquing the fastener with a torque wrench. Never rely on what the gun can do itself.
Tightening nuts. Place switch to forward when tightening nuts. Make certain the switch is locked properly in place. Manually thread the nut onto the bolt. Finish tightening nut with impact wrench. Apply appropriate pressure squarely against the bolt and socket. Add adapters only when necessary and not for general use. Pull trigger to supply power to the impact gun. Don't dwell longer than necessary to get torque. Do not hold impact sockets, universal joints, or extensions while impact tools are running. Serious hand and wrist injury can occur. Keep constant eye contact with the joints between the gun fasteners to ensure they are snug. If they become loose, stop the gun and correct the problem. Release trigger to disengage power from the impact gun once the bolt is tight. Remove socket from nut. Ensure your fingers are away from the trigger. Remove socket from gun and place all tools in their appropriate storage place. Remove air hose from gun. Transport the gun with a firm grip, fingers wrapped around the handle. Clean up air hose to prevent slips, trips, and falls.